G'day. Hey, we're just testing tonight, running some tests on our stream for what we're really looking forward to, the DV Prevention 360 event coming up on the 23rd of May. We knew we had to test a few things tonight, and but we couldn't just do that. We just are too excited to not share a few updates with you, because this is actually just going to be such an amazing event. We've got some brilliant people that have gotten on board. We're so grateful for the incredible support that we've had in getting the DV Prevention 360. And so I want to tell you just a little bit about that. And we've also got one of our guests that's going to be joining us on the 23rd of May, but he's also popping in tonight just to tell us a little bit about why he's getting involved. So I can't wait to introduce you to him real soon. But just to let you know a little bit about the DV Prevention 360. What is DV Prevention 360? Yes, well, I'm really glad you asked. So what it is it's actually a live stream that we're going to be doing across Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and perhaps some other channels. As we get closer to the event, we'll have a little more clarity around that. If you want to find out more about it, actually, what you need to do is go dv360.org, and that's where you can find some information all about it, and you can actually register for some updates as well. But anyway, what even is it? Okay, so it's a live stream, but firstly, the reason that we're doing it is we're doing it because there's just been a real shifting of focus in the area of the whole domestic violence discussion. I'm really encouraged by the movement that I'm seeing towards prevention and early prevention. I think there's a lot of people frustrated. Look, I really sympathise with police and just how overwhelmed they are with the enormity of this issue. Listening to the news on the way in tonight in the car, just the staggering increase that we've seen lately. So we'll get some more information about that probably even by tomorrow's news. But unfortunately, this is not a problem that's going backwards. It's become something of a national epidemic. And finally, after so many years of what just seems like it's been like the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff approach, we never begrudge the incredible work people are doing in the response sector, but the kindest thing that we can do for domestic violence victim survivors is to get further upstream, and to use that cliff analogy, not just the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, but to really get a preventative army at the top of the problem. And that's what we want to talk about. We actually want to start a national conversation about it. And now what happens normally when there's a domestic violence event or a domestic violence rally, can I be really candidly honest with you? You know, often the people that get most of the attention are politicians with their little moment, their funding announcements, their doorstops, or else it might be some of the beard-stroking academics that sometimes wade in, and there's not always a lot to show for that involvement, unfortunately. And the other people, of course, that get a lot of attention are the really outraged, shrill activists. So this is none of that. We want to hear from ordinary people. We want to hear from people on the front lines that know what's really going on the front lines, people that live and work in this space every day. And that's where we're really wanting to hear the voice of community. So we think it really deserves a national conversation. It's not going to be a finger-pointing exercise. There's enough negativity in this space. We want to talk about proactive, positive response. We want to talk about what's already working. You know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel on some of this stuff. So we're going to be talking about prevention, but we're also not just going to be talking about it. We're actually going to be supporting some work that's being done in prevention through the Circuit Breaker program. Circuit Breaker is not the only program out there. It's not the only program that's doing good work, but it is a problem. It is a program that is doing good work all around Australia. We're in 7 states and territories now. And we're honoured to be in those communities, actually doing some work at the top of this problem. So getting to the issue before it even begins is the goal. Yeah, that's really the goal, not to mop up after domestic violence, not to be always responding when the damage is done and people are traumatized and family situations are split into smithereens. It doesn't have to be that way. If we can get to people while it's just an anger problem or while it's just on that trajectory, if we can get the right tools into people's hands. So hope that's of interest to you. If you're listening tonight, if you're watching, we'd love to have your comments. Please share, because we are going to be introducing our guest really soon, and I'd love you to hear what he's got to say tonight. We want to let you know about some of the people that are going to be joining us on the 23rd of May. Now, I said we want to hear the voices of people close to the issue that know what's really going on. So we're also going to be joined by some musical artists and some of my favourites, actually, some of our beloved music artists, all Aussies this time around, which is exciting. And the reason that we got music artists involved is because, it's often the creatives that sometimes can just help us, through a song that just bypasses our head and gets into our heart and really speaks to some of the deep resonance that we have around this issue, because it's an issue that's really close to all of us. We all know someone, we're all close to someone, and sometimes it's musicians that tell it the best. So we're really happy for them to be joining us. I'm going to tell you all about one of them in a little while. Police, we want to hear from police. Police are so frustrated by this issue. I've heard on the radio a number of times now the president of the police union in our state in Queensland just expressing how overwhelmed they are and how they feel it's even really beyond their capacity to even manage the current prevalence of this issue. So that's pretty serious. And when you think that in my city, in Logan, 75% of police call-outs are domestic violence. We did some work a couple of years in Bundaberg, where there's now some great organisations delivering circuit breaker. That was as a response to the police asking the minister's fraternal, not once but twice, could you guys help us, because 80% of their work in Bundaberg is domestic and family violence. So we want to hear from police. We want to hear from some former police, and we want to hear from some current police about what really goes on when they attend these, not just what we think goes on, or not just what policies or politicians tell us goes on, but what would surprise you to hear? And that's a question I'm going to put to them. What would the public be surprised about to know really goes on, and what often shocks you as a police officer? Not to sensationalize either. We are very aware. We don't want to trigger anybody, but we want to just talk about the reality of policing around this issue. Do they have the powers they need? And what early prevention approaches are available for them to use in their work as well? I want to talk to lawyers. I want to talk to family law. I want to talk to defense lawyers. I want to talk to lawyers that represent on both sides of this and can paint that 360 picture, because we want to do a full 360 review of the state of the DV prevention space. We want to talk to people in corrections, in working in prisons and working in immigration detention. Did you know that, I can only say what's been told to me in those prisons, that in one of our Queensland prisons where we used to deliver circuit breaker before COVID, there were 80% of people in there were there on DV breaches. More than that in the immigration detention. It's more like 90% of people in there that are there on DV matters. So this is just such an overwhelming issue. I mean, talk about prison overcrowding. This is a major issue for us to solve, not to keep building more prisons. What can we do? I want to hear from people working inside there. We want to hear from the homelessness sector. We know that 75% of homelessness in Australia, this massive issue we're facing as a nation right now, 75% of it is the result directly or indirectly of domestic and family violence. Don't know if you knew that, but what are people seeing on the ground in the homelessness space? I've got some amazing people that are going to speak into that. And we've got some brilliant counsellors that are working closely with this issue all the time. And so it's a really fitting time for me to introduce a guest I'm really excited about. Met him a short time ago. We'll tell you all about that. But a wonderful counsellor. He works with domestic and family violence, but he also works with couples and family therapy at one of Australia's major organisations. And I'd love you to meet my good friend, Mr. Sam Leal. So thanks for joining us tonight, Sam.
Thank you, Matt, for the invitation. It's a privilege to be here.
Fantastic, mate. Appreciate you joining us on a Wednesday night tonight. So
yeah.
Sure you got other things to do.
Thursday this morning.
Yeah, thanks for making it a priority, mate. So you are working as a mediator, social worker, and counsellor. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I'm qualified as a family dispute resolution. I'm currently working with families, counseling, but also individuals and children. And my background, work as a social worker since I was 18 by passion. I was qualified when I was in 2000. I was qualified social worker, but I've been involved with the community since.
Whoa. I'm sorry we lost you there for a moment, mate. I just accidentally dropped you here, so that's why we're doing it. That's why we're doing a test tonight.
That's what that's for. Yeah, they don't have more that on the day.
Bear with us, everybody. We apologise for that. So Sam, I wonder if you can just tell us a little bit about. I met you at Sunshine Coast a short time ago, where you're working. I met you in Nambour at a training event that we were having for circuit breaker facilitator training. I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about how you found out about that and what attracted you to be there at that event, mate.
Well, it was really exciting to see in this event a new approach to address domestic violence. Initially, when I was invited by the community center, one of the managers there recommended me to do this course. And I went to the website and I have a look about the description. And I thought, hang on, that's not what's the traditional approach to address domestic violence. Talks about prevention, and that's quite important. There is not many there of these programs. So it really caught my attention, to see a program in this scope being used in different parts of Australia, So, yeah.
Brilliant. So this area you're no stranger to this area, and you're not a stranger to group work either, Sam. You've been involved in what are often called men's behaviour change groups, or
that's correct.
DV perpetrator groups. What do you call them, Sam? And I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about that space.
Yeah, I was involved in the Men's Choosing Change, Men's Sustaining Change program, which is the next step after Men's Choosing Change. Men's Choosing Change, it's both is volunteered, they go because they need it, but it does have some sort of requirement from the court for them to complete this course to address some of the domestic violence. But the next one, Men's Sustaining Change, is the one that they don't need the certificate to show to anyone. So it was good to see men who went through the process of 16 weeks and talking about domestic violence, being uncomfortable, being able to deal with some of the issues they have never thought about. They would have to talk about it. So this is one of the programs that I was involved with, but I've been involved with families and group work since 2019, 2020, when I start to group facilitate parenting orders programs, which parents that go through separation, and they have to go to court, and there's a lot of conflict and communication issues. And of course, a lot of the issues go directly to children who are the most vulnerable in this situation. So that's what caught my attention in that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If people, if you're just joining us, we're just talking about our Domestic Violence Prevention 360 event that we're going to be holding in May. One of our guests from that evening is good enough to join us tonight, Sam Leal, who's a couple and family therapist on the Sunshine Coast. We met recently, and we're just talking about that work in that space. If you're enjoying this stream tonight, can you not enjoy it quietly? Can you just take a moment to just share it right now, and let your friends and family know about this discussion, because we love to tell people that this is coming up in May, because we think it's going to be something that we really want to be a national conversation. We don't want this to be another quiet little chat between experts trying to solve the world like we do around the coffee table, but actually, we're really wanting to hear from people on the ground. So Sam, we've just been talking about men's behaviour change groups that you've been involved in over the years. Yeah. What do you see in those groups, mate? I sort of hear mixed things from those groups, because we do get people through our circuit breaker programs that are also in mandated groups as well at the same time. So we get mixed feedback about that. But I wonder, because you're right now delivering circuit breaker on the Sunshine Coast at Budrum. Is that right, mate?
That's correct. Yeah, Good Life Community Center. Yeah. So we're just about to finish in a couple of weeks, which is quite good.
Fantastic.
Not good to finish. That's good that we are achieving so many weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, while we're on that, how are you finding that course, and how are the people traveling? How are they going in the course?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Without breaking any confidentiality, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the participants, it's quite a diverse group. Different cultures, different ages. Different genders. People participate in this group. Different complexities. And stories, that they bring to the group, and how they are dealing with their own internal conflict, which is basically trying to address conflict resolution, try to understand what's going on with the family, trying to understand behavior. It's quite exciting to see the process of change. At the end of each session, you see in the face of people, and you see in the comments as well, wow, my gosh, I never thought that was actually what I was doing. Now I know what can I do differently, when I deal with that. And what's amazing is to see that they are bringing some of these tools home. And they say, I'm going to try that one and see how it goes. And the following week, you see that they have stumbled in the process. And that's a part of the process. We make that very clear to them. It's not something that's going to fix one day to another. It will take a time, because you're basically building up new brain neurological pathways to deal with conflict, to deal with anger, to deal with emotions as well. So each week you can see that people are becoming more conscious. They are more perceptible to domestic violence. They are more perceptible to their own actions. They are more reflective. And you can see that they start just thinking about, maybe I can help other people, to deal with that. So it's a ripple effect, not just in the person that's there present, but you can see that this replicates in the family. Some of the participants say, wow, my child just say, oh, what's going on with you, mom? That's a different way of dealing with the situation. I haven't seen that before in you. So kids that are exposed to parents that have had this skill and tools, they're definitely gonna replicate the model that they are seeing. And the impact of that is that there will be like 20, 30 years of effectively dealing with conflicts and with emotions, and de-escalation as well, which is fantastic to see, how positive is the impact in the lives of not only the participants, but in their family as well.
That's real generational change, isn't it, mate? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's the exactly word. It's a generational change. It's changing the
Yeah.
community.
And I think one of the things that we'd like to emphasise is Circuit Breaker is not trying to be another perpetrator program. We're not a domestic violence program as such. We very much position ourselves as early prevention. So our target group really are people that are on that trajectory to not have to get to that stage where they have to go to a mandated group. But having said that, we also do get people that are on domestic violence orders or have even been in prison for domestic violence, and they're very welcome too. And you might have noticed Sam was saying mixed gender, and that's something that we're seeing across Australia with our groups, that roughly half of the circuit breaker groups delivered by organisations now are mixed gender. So how are you finding that? I'm really, really interested to hear how the men and women in the group together, how that works, because a lot of people would say, oh, that could never work.
Yeah, I think there's a potential, like we live in the community, we're not going to have just one gender group or one age group, you know what I mean? That is not going to be isolation. We live in a society. So you're going to do eventually with conflict, you're going to do eventually with some challenging situations where you're going to have to position yourself, in an effective way, for your own good, but also for the good of the community. And when you have like the appropriate tools to deal with that, that's fantastic, because everyone benefits from that. Not only the person, but people around them. They become role model to the family, to the community. It's very powerful. So this aspect of having, mixed genders, it's fantastic because we bring an approach of honesty. We're talking about like a husband that have a challenge in dealing with their emotions when talk to his wife, but we do have the other side as well. And in this environment where we can expose our flaws and vulnerabilities, but also our motivation to change, that's where the miracle happened.
Wow. I'm glad you brought up motivation, because I wanted to ask you something. Because if you believe the media and all of the stories that seem to make the papers, you might get the impression that domestic violence abusers, they're monsters. They never want to change. They're all narcissists and psychopaths, and lock them up and throw away the key. And I think just as you're talking and telling us about your experience, even in circuit breaker, and in other behaviour change, full-blown behaviour change groups you've been involved in, what would you say to someone who questions, do these people ever really want to change?
Well, I'm 45. I'm going to turn 46 this year. And I'm a social worker by heart, and I help community since I was 18 years old when I support street kids in Brazil. My motivation is to believe that they can change, to believe that I could do some good to people and that could change their life. And it did. That definitely did. At 18 years old, I didn't have skill. I didn't know much about social work. I didn't know much about conflict resolution. I didn't know much, but I did have the motivation. And that's what I recommend anyone to that it's looking for other options to address domestic violence. I recommend to look into the motivation, what motivates you, to support people, and exactly that. People can change. You can see that from different levels of violence, from different levels of trauma that people have come across through, from different levels of coping mechanisms, how they address conflict, how do they address pressure, because domestic violence is just a response to a pressure, to an event that people doesn't know how to deal with that, So I can definitely see the potential and the narrative that people cannot change. It just keep them in the same square,
Wow.
It might exacerbate the problem, because if you do not believe someone, it will be hard for them to believe in themselves as well.
Wow,
You
that's
know?
profound, mate. Yeah.
And we do have a chance to show them that, yeah, things can change. You are not the same person that you were 1 year, 2 years ago. You are growing, and it's our obligation to make sure that they can hear that from us.
That's fantastic. And one thing I should say about our courses is we're not able, like as a matter of policy, we can't take people that are mandated to come. So absolutely everybody that does a circuit breaker course is there voluntarily. Yep. And some people know my story. 30 years ago, I was a perpetrator. Is it long ago? 33 years ago. No longer. 33 years ago. And I went along as a voluntary participant in a full domestic violence perpetrator program. So yeah, I know what it's like to sit there with guys that want to be there, that have gone a fair way into this, but want to be better men. And with our ladies as well, we certainly get some very angry and violent women at times that are actually pretty physically violent at times, but still with that desire to change and be better people with their partners and with their kids. Yeah. One of the critical things that I keep coming back to is one of the things that really bothers me, and I can just tell you this, Sam, just privately, just between you and me. I might not say this anywhere public, but something that bothers me in the domestic violence sector is when people are not very good at engagement. They have a rare luxury in this space of being able to blame the clients and to say, oh, those people never really wanted to change. And I find that I hear that a little bit too often from people that are really trying to trot out some failed approaches. And instead of looking at their own lack of engagement, they're blaming the people that are there in good faith, wanting, showing that they want to change. So I wanted to just raise that issue with you around engagement, because you've seen different programs and which ones engage and which ones don't. As I said before, we know that we're not the only good program. We know that we hope we're a good program, but we know that there's some great programs out there that are engaging. So I just wonder, with some of your experience, what are some of the elements that you think programs really need to have to be able to engage with people to want to change?
Yeah, well, it's been quite a while, actually. I think since 2016 that I've been working either alongside with other domestic violence programs, supporting communities, supporting families, but also working directly with perpetrator. There are different programs, different approaches. But one thing that I notice is that some people, they do have the heart to help others. You can see the way they speak is not a judgmental, realm. It's not in a way of I'm telling you what to do it and what you need to do it. In a way of walking alongside them and say, okay, you're struggling. I have some tools here. What can you do it? Let's see if that's going to work. Oh, it doesn't work. Let's try something else. You know what I mean? So definitely the approach that you bring to engagement, it's actually, I like to thinking about when I go to meet with a client, I don't bring just my head, just my brain. I need to bring my heart,
Oh, wow.
It's people, they are impacted by how you make them feel, by looking them in the eye and understanding the problem and be able to have empathy with the challenge as well. Not empathy with the domestic violence, still making sure they are accountable, still making sure they are take accountability for the things that they do, but also bring the heart, knowing that behind the violence, there is a person, like you mentioned about, there's a person behind there. You need to see the human beings. In aspect in society, we can fail to see that, okay? Like a child in a school, if they play up and, misbehave, you're not going to label the child as, too hard to deal with child. You're not going to discriminate the child. You're not going to refer to this child as a problem child. You don't have stigma or labels on that. You see the child as someone that is growing, that needs to develop, that is some behaviors of concern, but also there is a human being there that deserves, they have the right of care. They have the right to be heard. They have the right to have support. And the same thing is for adults as well. Labeling adult that will not going to help, or labeling, a gender specifically, female or male, whatever, it's not going to help. What's going to help is to say, okay, there is a problem here. Let's be honest. Let's put on the table, and let's put on the table as well what's the tools that we can use. So, in summary, I like to bring my heart. That's the heart of the engagement. That's why I can see the power of community, the power to make sure that they have instruments that they're going to support each other, volunteers, people that are interested to be involved. So, I think that's the heart of it.
Fantastic. So we've been talking to couple and family therapist Sam from Sunshine Coast. And Sam, thank you so much for what you've shared. And I love that idea that as a therapist, that's something you always remember is not to just bring your head, but to bring your heart. And thank you so much, Sam, for bringing your heart tonight and sharing so many just absolute nuggets of gold tonight. I encourage people, if you enjoyed this, to really share this with your friends and be able to watch back on this recording or share that. Maybe take a moment to share now. And we're really looking forward to May 23. And if tonight is any indication, we just knew that it'd be great to hear from Sam tonight. Thank you so much, mate. Looking forward to May 23, and I'll probably see you up at Budrum before that, my friend, in a couple of weeks' time. Love to be there to meet some of the people that are coming along to your group.
Thank you, Matt. Right. Thank you, the team. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you so much, mate. Have a great night. Cool. Awesome. So if you've just joined us, we are talking about our domestic violence or DV Prevention 360, which is coming up on the 23rd of May. And if that sounds like what's a DV Prevention 360, it sounds like a 360 review of domestic violence prevention. Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's what we want it to be. And we want to hear from some real life people like Sam that are working on the coalface, that know what's really going on, not just the media or the usual usual suspects. So thanks for sharing your comments. Here's one from Inika. Thanks for sharing that tonight. And we welcome all your comments as you keep those coming in. Please share this on your feeds. We want people to know what we're doing because we know this is going to be a really worthwhile conversation that we're going to be having in May, which is Domestic Violence Prevention Month in Queensland, or Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We just think that in all of the domestic violence story, with all the important work that's going on, one of the best things we can do is prevention. It's the kindest thing we can do for victim survivors is to end domestic violence before it even begins. So just to recap, we're going to be hearing from some police that evening, current and former. We're going to be hearing from some lawyers in the trenches working with these cases. We're going to be hearing from people in the homelessness sector. We're going to be hearing from some church leaders that deal with this pastorally in their work as well. And we're going to be hearing from some other counsellors just like Sam, and Sam's going to be joining us. We're also going to be hearing from some musicians, and we've got some great musos that are going to be dropping in. One of those that we want to announce tonight, we're very excited to have Cindy Lee Bosky, just one of Queensland's favourites. She's an amazing lady from Chinchilla. She's been called the girl with the golden pipes, and boy, she's got a powerful voice. She's also got a powerful story, and she's got a really powerful song she's going to share with us off the back of her latest single, which has just been released. I don't know if you've heard this yet, but this song is. I'm just looking for it, and here we go. Oh yeah, just going to play you a little bit of her latest single, which you can find on YouTube. Would you believe this? As it's only been out for like less than 2 weeks. It's had 50,000 views. It's been picked up by radio stations around the world, this amazing song. So let's have a little snippet of what you can expect from Cindy Lee.
I thought you'd be there for all my life, through the highs and lows, the fights and fears. I stood beside you all those years. I believed in who you'd become. Now I'm standing here asking what went wrong. Did I ever matter to you at all? Or was I someone you captured if I took a fall? I gave my time, I gave my truth, but I guess I was never what you were to me. Till you sad, I thought you.
Little technical glitch. Isn't it a beautiful song? And I know that that's really going to resonate with a lot of people as it is around the world. But it'd be amazing to have Cindy Lee with us. She's such a down-to-earth person, and I just love her heart. The time that she spends with fans after a show, she's not one of these that goes back to a green room and hops in a limo. She's the kind of artist that really gets amongst it and is such a big, generous heart for her followers and fans. If you're not already following Cindy Lee, check her out. We have got a link and a story there that we posted a few weeks ago on our page on the Circuit Breaker Movement page. There's a link there. So that's Circuit Breaker course on our YouTube, but also on our, Facebook. I'm there all the time. On our Facebook page, which is called the Circuit Breaker Movement, there's a little there about Cindy Lee, but you'll get to hear her. And she's certainly someone that'll bring her heart on the night tonight as well. So just before we wrap up, we want to just say that DV Prevention 360, we really want to start this national conversation to really bring prevention into the forefront. That's what we want to hear, what's working, what can work, and look at some positive and proactive solutions going forward. But we also want to raise some funds. We're not backward about that. We know that Circuit Breaker is only one program that works. There's other good programs around, but we would love if you could help us to spread this work. We're in 7 states and territories around Australia now, which is quite amazing. But there are more to get to. We really want to get into South Australia, and we also we just want this to go far and wide. Whenever we get an inquiry through our website, and a person can't get to a Circuit Breaker group, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that we've got someone right there that wants to change. They want to be a better version of themselves, but they can't get to a group near them. And so we just want to see a proliferation so that that's not a reason for anybody to miss change, because families need this, people need this, communities need this, and generations need this to bring the generational change we're looking for. Thank you so much for your time tonight on a Wednesday night. Please share this, like this, and we'll sneak on again unannounced at some stage soon. But also, why don't you register so that you get all the info and updates and you don't miss out on DV360, 23rd of May. Looking forward to seeing you there.